board. So welcome everyone. On this 13th of November, we love a 13 in our lives. It's a symbol of the divine feminine. It's a very powerful number. That's why we've been taught to fear it. So I invite you, if you have oils, you might want to use your frankincense. For those of you, I always like to put on my palette. For those of you who were at my talk on Friday, I was privileged to be invited to do a talk by the Hilton Cricket mums. They hosted it for the mums of Hilton and my class and friends that they invited. And everyone was gifted with this beautiful palm roller, gifted by actually Chartered Wealth, who were so wonderful. I really wanted to gift these to these women, and it sort of broke the budget a bit. And I spoke to Chartered Wealth, who were the ones who invited me to speak at the Women in Finance events and at their own ladies' morning. And where I'm about mindful health and wellness, they're about mindful money, really, and reclaiming our money and bringing more mindfulness to managing our money. And so they gifted these rollers, and we made our typical calm roller, which if those of you who've been around here for a while will know, we have lavender, peppermint, and frankincense. So we can use this internally, so we can use your calm roller on your palette. Amazing for headaches and many other things I explained to the ladies was for. But this one we've also put geranium in as well. And geranium is such a lovely addition to a calm roller for those who have a calm roller and you want to add it, because geranium is the emotional healer. It's all about healing the heart and instilling unconditional love and fostering trust. So I'll actually put this on our mindfulness, on my dōTERRA groups later, this little recipe and info sheet. So if you have your calm roller, you could use it the same way. You could put it on your neck and shoulders, on your pulse points. You can even put it a bit on your thumb and put it onto your palette. And as we do this, we invite a process of settling in and checking in what the weather like is inside us. And I've realized over time, my mum is a psychologist and on this group, and she talked about mindfulness before I'd heard anyone in South Africa. She was the one excited about John Kabat-Zinn coming in 2009 when none of us had ever heard of him, and then he had to cancel his trip. And she would say to me, well, Nikki, just what's coming up for you? What's in your body? And I'd be like, I don't know. I can't feel it. She says, just close your eyes and tell me, what does it feel like? Is it bubbling or churning? Is there fire? Is there this or that? Nothing. Like, very hard for me to internalize what's in my body. And I've done a 2-year mindfulness practitioner course, and I still realize how hard I find it to tap into my body. And I'm a body worker. I'm a physio. I work with bodies. And what's helping me a little bit more is, I've mentioned them before, lovely Candace Dick, who I work with the privilege of working with, has created these cards, and she's told me actually she's doing a kind of beginner's set. It's sort of for kids, but it's a beginner's set. They're these nature of emotions cards, and each card has a little sort of emotional words: connected, stimulated, energetic, buzzed, or enraged, mad, shocked, alert. The other ones rested, restored, and they're lovely to help us to adventurous, daring. They're beautiful cards. The other side has nothing on them. They're no words. They're just cut pictures. And then these ones to help us to kind of identify what the weather's like inside. So I've been using those a little bit more. And she created this lovely gingerbread journaling. She doesn't even know I'm talking about this today. I'm sure she'll listen to the recording. And where you can see, like, you can identify. She's got all these blank pages. You can just print out a thing of a gingerbread man in your and do it for yourself. But she has a lot of lovely guidance in the beginning and how to do it. And some days we might have pictures that look like that. And I think that's after a mindful moment. Sometimes we feel like that. But other times it can be really tumultuous and stormy. And it's important for us to get, Candace tells me that she can feel like she feels instantly. She's so attuned to it that she can feel like this feeling in her shoulder that's coming up as she gets anxious, or this feeling that comes, and these become our kind of old friends. They are our habitual patterns, but we can't ever change them until we become conscious of them. So when I ask you to check in this moment, it's really just to allow settling and to just check in with our bodies. And I say our because I mean, as I've just said, I'm far from an expert in this. So just in this moment, just taking a deep breath in and dropping your gaze or closing your eyes and just bringing your attention into your body, our bodies, and just doing a light, quick scan. It's not rocket science. There's no right or wrong. Just noticing if there's areas of tension or holding on, areas of warmth or cool, maybe where your energy sits. I think I always find my energy sits from my shoulders up towards my head and very little sits low. And that's perhaps why I find it so hard to feel into my body. And just sort of thanking our bodies for being here and ourselves for being here and just noticing what our weather is like right now. And you might want to put it in the chat. You might want to do 2 or 3 words like it does on the cards. And there are cards that say ashamed, coy, embarrassed, withdrawn, cautious, repelled, disgusted, weary, lonely, hurt, isolated, disconnected. And so it helps to give us verbiage to our emotions and create emotional intelligence for us and for our children and families. So you might want to put it in the chat and share it, or just notice it for yourselves. And there's no right or wrong. And what is the moon doing? That's always important to know. It's a waxing moon. We're going to have another full moon. They seem to come around quickly on the 15th of September. And this time it's a full moon in Taurus. And in fact, it's another supermoon, which means it's extraordinarily close to the Earth. It will appear bigger, and the effects on the Earth, whether we see the moon or not, are stronger. And the effects, when we see the effects of the moon on the tides and what the supermoon will do to the tides and the ocean, and our bodies are 70% water, we should not doubt the effect that it has on us physically and emotionally. So, oh, I'm not recording. Am I? Oh, I am recording. So, full moons are all about completion, culmination, and closure. They're actually the peak of the moon cycle, which is interesting. I often think of the new moon as the ending of the cycle and of our menstrual time as the ending of the cycle. But actually, the full moon is the peak, and that's the culmination and completion. And perhaps that's too for our ovulation, which often happens at the same time or sometimes at opposite times. But the full moon is like switching on a giant light, and we see it in nature. When we're in nature, we see it's like there's a spotlight on. If any of you have been in the bush over a full moon, I'm sure maybe have checked, have we left a light on outside? It's so bright outside. And it shines a light emotionally on what no longer serves us, on the things we haven't known before. It brings it all to light. Full moons are always about secrets being revealed. And especially so with this full moon, because the light is so bright, it's a super moon. And also the sun, with a full moon, the sun is always opposite the moon and is shining on the moon. That's what creates this full moon. And we're looking at the full moon, which is in Taurus right now, but the sun is in Scorpio. And the Scorpio is probably the most emotional sign of the zodiac. And so there'll be a lot of emotions, a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of stuff being shown to light. So that's going to be happening on this weekend. When is the 15th? Friday. And so just being conscious of it and being gentle with yourself. And if things are coming up, giving yourself a little bit of space and not sort of giving ourselves space over this weekend, because it's got potential to be intense. And this year, astrologically, is all about truth and awakening, the astrological things of this year, and particularly this month. Like, this is the culmination, this is the full moon of the year. And Pam Gregory has done this beautiful YouTube on it, which I wish I could share all of it with you because there's such nuggets. But if you want to know more, to listen to her, Pam Gregory on the full moon in Taurus, November 15th. And Taurus is all about food supplies. It's all about, well, you know, Taurus is the bull. It's going to be about food and farming, agriculture, natural resources. It's also, when it's connected with Scorpio like this, it's about banking and currencies and wealth. And we see the BRICS countries, including us, who knew, Pam Gregory told me this, are developing a new payment system. But there are going to be lots of secrets, particularly about big money and hidden money coming to light. And we're already seeing truths coming to light at the moment. I mean, it's astounding the stuff that is even coming out post the Republican win last week, which I don't think anyone kind of saw would happen with the intensity that it did. Just to share with you, Robert F. Kennedy, he is my hero. He posted a wonderful tweet to say the FDA's war on public health is about to end. This includes its aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptides, stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric therapies, chelating compounds, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamins. I'd add in essential oils in here, clean food, sunshine, exercise, nutraceuticals, and anything else that advances human health and can't be patented by pharma. If you work for the FDA and are part of this corrupt system, I have two messages for you. One, preserve your records, and two, pack your bags. So it really is, there's a lot. Apparently the top 5 pharmaceutical companies, their CEOs had a meeting with their lawyers on Thursday last week because there's so much going to be coming out. And to that point, Bill Gates if you've been hanging around will know he's my least favorite person, and the Pfizer CEO, Alberto Bourla, are facing trial later this month in the Netherlands, which will be interesting to see. So there's a lot. And I spoke last week about the tragic death of Alan McLean, the Hilton grade 8 boy who was struck by lightning in his boat fishing with his dad when there wasn't even a storm around. It was 30 kilometers away back at camp. And that's why they'd stayed where they were. They didn't want to go in that direction. And as I said, on Friday last week, I sat with the Hilton and Michaelhouse mums. And we spoke about, it was Alan's memorial that next Saturday, the next day. It was also obviously the Remembrance Day weekend. It was Hilton was hosting the PinkDrive weekend, which is a day that the schools alternate years in hosting, and it's always the final sort of cricket match and water polo and basketball, and it's all in support of the PinkDrive, which is also about gender-based cancers and things like that. And so there've been so many other recent tragedies in our school communities and in our individual communities, and there's so much loss and sadness. And how do we cope? And this is the question that I posed to these ladies. And I want to just read to you my introduction of that and the poem that accompanied it. So I invite you just to settle back and to just let these words land on your ears and on your body and in your heart. So with so much loss and sadness, how do we cope? In fact, life is full of pain and sadness and suffering and loss, and it was never promised to be anything different. Only in the US, the United States, is it suggested life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as the Declaration of Independence suggests. But religions don't agree. The first noble truth of Buddhism is there is suffering. There is dukkha. Life is suffering. We were never promised otherwise. But we were also never promised only pain, only sadness, only darkness. Because in nature, there's both. There's the dark and the light, the day and night, winter and summer, flood and drought. There are always times of each, but it's never just either or, it's both and. Death and birth, sadness and joy, sickness and health, loneliness and connection. So this is life in all its fullness, in all its rawness, all its loss and love. And there's no getting away from it. And fighting only makes it worse. And so what do we do? How can we help ourselves and our loved ones navigate it all? It's so scary, it's sad, it's hard. But we forget that this is the space of woman. We are the mothers. We are the healers. We are the makers of our homes. We are the receivers, the safe space, the sanctuary. We're the creators of the sacred, the ritual, the spaces and practices that hold us, contain us, and support us. We are the grounding. And we must never minimize the value of these. These are what hold society together and keep our families connected. They support the men and the loved ones in our lives. And this is the most important role. And I'm starting to realize how much I need to pray every day for the protection of our family, for our loved ones, for our communities, our country, and our world. We women must pray. And so I invite you to pray with me now. First for ourselves, because as in the airplane, we have to put on our own masks first. And then for our families and our loved ones. So in the words of Psalm 91, Father God, you are my safe and strong place, my God in whom I trust. You cover me with your wings, and under your wings I am safe. You are faithful like a safe covering and a strong wall. I don't need to be afraid of trouble at night or of the arrow that flies by day. I don't need to fear sickness that walks in the darkness or the trouble that destroys at noon. In you is where I live, nothing will hurt me. Please tell your angels to care for me and my loved ones, those closest to me and those in need, especially those grieving and those on a cancer journey. Keep us in all your ways. May your angels hold us up in their hands. Thank you for setting us in a safe place on high. Please give us a long life and show us your saving power. Amen. And so these days, I pray a prayer of protection on myself and my family every day as we navigate this world and this life. And I encourage you to do the same in whatever way feels right for you, right for your family, right for your culture, your religion, your sanctuary that you're creating. And as we enter our mindful moment, I invite you to let these words of Donna Ashworth also land. As we take some breaths and settle into our bodies, just settle into this moment where there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to be. Just being with ourselves and with the other woman in this room. In this life, we women are many things: mothers, daughters, sisters, wives, friends, carers. We are creators. We are nurture. We are home. But above all, we women are the magic. We are the intuition. We are the product of generations who fought to be heard, to be believed, to be empowered. And that runs very deep. When women come together, magic happens, my friend. And those who tell you otherwise are afraid. We are not. So come together in all your glory when you can, because you must, because you are called by a deep-seated ancestry to do so. And because, most of all, we hold up half the sky, and our half must show the other how to be. And letting these words land, letting them dig into our hearts, between our cells, move into our arteries, arterioles, capillaries, May these words land on every pore of our body so that we know them to be true. We know the power that rests within them, and we know their charge, what they are calling us to do. Just feeling them going out to the furthest edges of our bodies, noticing if we can feel them in our feet, bringing attention to our feet and tracing around the outline of our feet and our toes, the balls of our feet, the arches of our feet, our heels. And just noticing that as we bring our attention to an area, perhaps we notice a change in the sensation. Perhaps there's a warming, tingling, an energy, a chi or prana, a shimmer. And so just in this moment, bringing all your attention to your feet and exploring them with great curiosity. And allowing for this awareness of the feelings and sensations that may rest there. And then gently moving up our ankles, calves, knees, thighs, into our hips, perhaps holding our whole legs, lower legs, in our awareness. And noticing here too if sensations arise. Perhaps if they're noticing areas of tension and tightness or holding on, just inviting a gentle softening, a gentle opening. Not forcing it to be different, just inviting and allowing. Allowing your attention to drift up into your pelvic bowl area, pelvic floor area. This area that holds the whole abdomen and thorax, everything from our uterus and ovaries, our small and large intestine, to our stomach, our gallbladder, our pancreas and spleen and liver, to our lungs, heart, all our blood vessels, our abdominal aorta, everything rests in this pelvic bowl, is held by this pelvic bowl and this pelvic floor. This pelvic floor that we can have such a difficult relationship with. And there's only a small muscle that supports all of that, plus our babies when they were in utero. Just offering a gentle compassion for all that this area does for us and a small sensation of gratitude, despite how it might be right now. The work it does for us every day, every day, every day is so enormous. As we sit, as we walk, as our body functions. as we breathe. And here too, in this pelvic bowl and pelvic floor area, noticing if there are sensations of holding or tightness or tension, and just inviting, again, a gentle softening, a gentle expansion. And more issues of incontinence with holding on too tight, of hypertension, hypertonic pelvic floors. And so just allowing and inviting a gentle opening and expansion. Noticing here too if there are sensations that arise as we put our attention on the area. Gently moving up into our abdomen, abdominal area, noticing the feeling of our digestive and reproductive organs. Seeing if we can feel into this area with curiosity, how much we can actually feel. Diving as deep as you can into that area. And then gently moving up into heart space. And we'll come back here. So let's move up to our shoulders, our arms, our forearms, our hands. Noticing if these words have even crept through to the tips of our fingers, the palms of our hands. If you can feel them vibrating and alive in these spaces. In these arms, which we use to reach out to the world, to hug our loved ones, to hold them close. A mother's arms, a daughter's arms. A sister's arms, a friend's arms. And I'm seeing, traveling back up and seeing if they have permeated into our neck, our throat, our face, our head, around every hair on our head. Every hair on our head is counted. Seeing if these words will bring us to our senses, bring us to our sense of smell, of taste, of hearing, sight, of touch. And here in this mindful moment, we know our sixth sense that we know so well, which is our heart coherence, our gut instinct. We slide back into that space now. We slide down our spine, into our heart space, into our plush chair, our plush couch that our heart and lungs offer us, where we can just rest and be present. We realize that when we operate from here, we are our strongest. We are our wisest. We are our most guided. And that there are more neurons from our hearts to our brains and from our brains to our hearts. And so our hearts and our heart space can influence how we feel, what we think, how we show up in the world. And this is what we need to cultivate. And what we need our children to cultivate. Our husbands and the men in our lives too. And so as we draw towards the end of this mindful moment, we just sit here in our heart space, just resting. Just noticing what's here. Noticing if these words have permeated into our heart space, our lungs. Noticing if there's any color, sensation, light, chi, prana, shimmer. And just noticing and feeling our whole bodies in our awareness. Zooming out so that we can take in our whole body. And just feeling how they feel here, today, now, in this moment. Perhaps there is a feeling of energy, light, that feels like it might be seeping out into every pore. In this life, we women are many things: mothers, daughters, sisters, wives, friends, carers. We are creators, we are nurture, we are home. But above all, we women are the magic. We are the intuition. We are the product of generations who fought to be heard, to be believed, to be empowered. And that runs very deep. When women come together, magic happens, my friend. And those who tell you otherwise are afraid. We are not. So come together in all your glory when you can, because you must, because you are called by a deep-seated ancestry to do so. And because, most of all, we hold up half the sky, and our half must show the other how to be. As we sit here, we know that this is always available to us. We can come back to this moment at any time in our day by tapping into our heart space. Perhaps you might want to rest your hands on your heart right now just to anchor this feeling, this awareness, this calling. And so that you know that when you need to come back to it, you can always do so by resting your hands on your heart and breathing into this heart space. It's as simple and as quick as just dropping into our bodies, dropping into our breath. Now, when you're ready, taking a few deep breaths, filling your heart space, your lung space, your abdomen, and then gently sighing out and letting go. Being aware that in every breath there is that interplay of receiving and then giving out. And so it must be with us. When you're ready, moving your fingers and toes, perhaps rubbing your thighs, squeezing your shoulders and arms, offering yourself this gentle compassion, this gentle hug that so many need, including ourselves. Knowing that we can offer it to ourselves at times when we need it. We don't need it to come from others. And knowing that we can also offer it so freely to others as well. And then when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to this space, the room, the names and faces on the screen, those who are in here with us and those who are listening to the recording, you very much in our heart space too. I wish you a very blessed day and a blessed week. And yeah, when I'm just looking at the chat now, when women come together, there's magic, my friend. And you know, Hilda, just to we had a lovely photo. I've actually posted it on my Instagram, some photos of the day. It was so beautiful. And we had a lovely photo on the cricket pitch, the first team cricket pitch, because it was in the pavilion outside of the cricket pavilion where we hosted the lunch. And I said to the ladies, well, it's done. The women have spoken. Like Hilton, and I'm a Michael's mum, Hilton will win this game tomorrow because our women our magic is there. And in fact, they didn't just win that game, they won across the board that day. And it's not always like that. But I think that is the magic of us. We don't have to do a lot. We just have to be and to share our light and our love. And yeah, they did. So I said, and maybe some of the Hilton and Michael's mums will be listening later. I said to my husband when we woke up this morning, that first team game is Hilton's, and we'll see how the rest of it goes. And he's like, "Oh, please." Anyway, when we arrived at Hilton, Michael's just lost their third wicket in a very short succession, and then Michael's recovered, and we left there early to go off to our other son's cricket. And later on, we were at a water polo dinner, and I said, "How was it? Where did I?" They said, "No, they cleaned us up right across the board." Anyway, I'm claiming it as the magic of the women who were there that day on Friday.
That's such a powerful story, Nikki. I think we as women forget, we get so caught up in the busyness of life and caring for others. But when we give ourselves the moment and connect with one another, there's just such power and strength in that. So thank you so much for this Wednesday
Absolutely.
mornings in the year because they have meant so much. So I'm really appreciative of you creating it. And I know we haven't actually physically met one another, but I feel like I really do know you. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
It's
Hilda.
really, really appreciative.
No, I so appreciate that too. Thank you so much. And hopefully next year I'm going to do more stuff in Joburg, and hopefully we will meet in person. I look forward to that. And you know, that lunch, there was none of the rivalry at lunch about the schools. You know, that wasn't it. It was women coming together and gathering as women in all our humanness, with all our fears and our things for our children and all our and yeah, and so it wasn't the competition and things like that, but it was just such a reminder of our power as women. So thank you, Hilda, for that comment.
Yeah, I guess we feel so alone, don't we? Because we think we're
Mm,
the only ones struggling. And when we come together and just witness one another, we
mm.
realize that we're not alone and we're all going through pretty much similar things. So, yeah, and that's the power. But thank you.
Absolutely. And I think the time for women's circles, however those may be in whatever communities is now. And I think for us to look at how we might be able to create those in our lives because we need them as much as others, as in other spaces. I've just started a prayer group once a week here at our home, and this is a women's circle, and whatever way you can start a women's circle or be part of a women's circle or get a few of you, that no one has to lead, no one has to take responsibility, no one has to be the expert, that we can just gather together because that's where the magic is. Thank you. Yeah. We need to meet together more often in person and online. Thanks, Karine. Thanks, Ellen. Thanks, Bashi. Thank you, everyone. Sending you much love. I'm going up to my class today. I'm taking this feminine magic there. I'm needing to work some magic in a few things. And so thank you for helping me this morning. Sending everyone love and light. See you next week. And have a look on my Instagram if you want to see some of the photos of the day.